Hi, everybody, and welcome to the Rocks Report, presented by the casino at Delaware Park. I'm Matt Janus. You might be wondering, why is he crouched down like this? Well, if you're a catcher, you have to do this 3 hours every night. Everyone knows it's one of the most draining positions in sports, not just physically, but mentally as well. Fortunately for Blue Rock backstops Nate Esposito and Chase Vallo, they have a couple of pretty good tutors in Jamie Quirk and Chris Witcher, who are teaching them the intricacies of the position.
Those guys got so many years in the big leagues. It's amazing having guys like that to, kind of show you what worked for them and what worked for their teammates. It's really good because they don't tell you, this is one way to do it or you have to come out on a ball like this. It's all experience. So, as a catcher, and those guys were big-time catchers, it's really good to hear those guys give you their perspective on it and, tell me, if you like it, use it. If not, don't.
They speak my language and they kind of understand where certain situations happen, and whereas most people don't understand like certain pitch calling or certain situations of the game, and we're not the only ones that have felt like that. They've been in that same position.
I think they're really good at making it so we all understand and talking in a way where we all actually understand what they're talking about because, they know the game better than all of us.
That ability to communicate and to understand the big picture is what tends to make former catchers the best coaches and managers, which is a fact the Blue Rocks parent club, the Kansas City Royals, wholeheartedly believe in.
They're unique to have the one position where you're looking out at the players, you're moving the defenses, you got to know the situation, you have to really think the game, a lot of instincts, and that really leads well to managing. And to have managers that are able to work with their catchers directly each and every day, along with our catching coordinator that comes in and supports what we're teaching as an organization, is tremendous when you have a guy like Jamie Quirk and another assistant coach and Chris Widger, because they can share the nuances of the game that allow those players to get better each and every day.
Widger, who has been in pro baseball for more than 2 decades, says he's a neophyte compared to the reservoir of knowledge that is manager Jamie Quirk.
There's nothing that Jamie hasn't seen. When I sit back and think, wow, I've seen a lot in this game, Jamie's been in this game twice as long as I have. So each day I'm learning from him, and then I can take that and pass it on to the kids in turn, because you can never learn too much in this game. There's always something that you haven't seen, you haven't experienced. And so to have Jamie there, he's very settling, very calm, he's kind of cool and collected, and it doesn't get too upset. And to see the way he handles everything professionally, if he's not getting upset and he's seen it all, there's no sense for the rest of us to panic and get upset either.
Widger says 2 of the biggest principles both men believe in as coaches are respect and communication.
Obviously they're young guys and they're coming up and they're just starting their careers. But at the end of the day, they're 21, 22, 23 years old. They're grown men. They have to figure some things out for themselves. I can't tell them this is what you have to do. I can give them suggestions. This worked for me. I've seen this work a lot. Maybe you should try it. But in the end here, it's their career. And if they're going to choose not to take your suggestion and their way doesn't work, chances are they're not going to have a job in the future. At the same time, their way may work and my way may not, and I'm not going to tell them to change when what they're doing is succeeding.
The one lesson all catchers have to learn is not letting rough patches at the plate affect them defensively.
For me, it was tougher when I was struggling at the plate, because then you want to separate that, because your number one job, I was always taught coming up, was to take care of the pitcher that day. And that's your job. You can take an 0 for 4, and it's really, in the big scheme of things, as long as your pitcher does his job, that's your number one job. But it's hard when you start to struggle and you're trying to separate the two. But as you play more and get some more experience, it's easier to do. It's just like anything else. You're kind of like, okay, I struck out, I look bad, I embarrassed myself, but here I have a chance to go out and do something else for the team, get a 1, 2, 3, and come back in. And then you don't really forget about it, but it's easier. It lessens the sting a little bit.
That's the biggest thing, is just not taking a bat or anything to the field. That's just like, a guy hits a home run, come back out and be pumped up and fired up, but you got to be able to maintain the focus, for the game and that pitch and that out. And it's very important, for a guy not to take out what he had at the plate or take out an error he just made on the rest of you and the rest of that inning, because, if things can get out of really hand real quick if you don't, focus in and try to maintain the focus of what you need to do out there.
In order for you to run a professional baseball game with a professional player on the mound, it's really difficult to, worry about your at-bats. And in my opinion, and a lot of people's opinion, a professional catcher is a professional catcher. Hitting is a plus. If you can hit, that's awesome, it's great. But if you're behind the plate, it's because you need to catch and you need to run the game and you need to control the base running.
But on top of all the knowledge that must be accrued, it's the extra workload and the physical attrition that make a catcher's life such a grind.
day in and day out, you're catching bullpens, you're working. We come out here early with the pitchers and we catch their flat grounds. It's nonstop. I mean, on a good day, you're catching, including a flat ground, you're catching 2 to 3 sides, and then you're in the bullpen that game, you maybe have 2 to 3 guys. I mean, it's nonstop. I mean, you'll miss BP a lot of times, you won't get a hit extra, but that just comes with the territory again. I mean, if that's what you want to do and you want to catch, you got to grind a little bit.
Like everybody says, it takes a special kind of person to be a catcher. Foul balls off the mask, balls off the forearms, into the thighs, and it's one of those things that you gotta love. You gotta love to do. You gotta love to get beat up. You gotta love to sacrifice your body for the sake of the team, and it's a very challenging job.
Fortunately for the Blue Rocks, they have 2 men who are up to the challenge, thanks to a pair of gentlemen who have not only lived the rigors of the position, but know how to teach it as well. I don't know how these guys do this for 3 hours. I can't even do it for 3 minutes. For the Rocks Report, presented by the Casino at Delaware Park, I'm Matt Janus.